our discussion as on point and as concise as possible. I know that some of us have other commitments. So we want to get through this as efficiently. So we're on to item 4.4, rating and review. We've had a workshop on this. Councillors have read Donna's report. So I will ask for a move and a second to receive the motion. Thank you. Councillor Connell, Councillor Grant, thank you. Donna, have you got some? Do you want to just give us a summary, or just want to open it to discussion?
I'm happy to open it to discussion. Just we've taken into consideration, you know, the one workshop we had in the discussion we had at the second workshop to come up with these resolutions. Also, I'm proposing some other options to a rating review now, which is discussed in almost everybody's read that report. They'll understand what they are. If not, I'm happy to explain them now.
So a couple of key points out of this, which are just in terms of the timing of the 1st of July 2026, obviously lining that up with the proposed switchover date or new changeover date 3 Waters. So that as that 1st of July 2026 date kicks in, it changes our revenue and financing model in a way that probably hasn't been seen for a long time. So it's an opportunity there for us in preparation for that to have what we're doing lined up with that date, because the way we operate and the way we fund it will change. Item 3, requests of staff complete funding needs analysis. So in other words, do some preparatory work on what this might look like going forward. So what I'm going to suggest is that we need to just basically get this back in the hands of staff to do that preparatory work so that we can have a further in-depth discussion around what. So what I'm really saying is today's not the day to have another in-depth discussion about a rating review. We need more information. We need more on the part of Donna, which is what's being asked for. Questions?
Yeah, questions here. Donna, so if we said, okay, we'll run with these 2 options here, when would that process start? You thinking a year out or 2 years out or what?
So it does say in my report that we would look at starting to do a revenue financing policy review with the LTP process. And so that's sort of that, we're working on that now. So that would be happening now. And the review would be in line to have it ready and make it so that it's more flexible and that it reflects, you know, the strategic direction that you're working on, to ease the way through for a rating review. So that work will begin in line with the LTP.
So that's work alongside the LTP. So as we go through this process for the next 2 years, you'll be explaining to us, and we'll be talking about a rate review that we're going to start on 2026, but we'll know clearly what's happening as we roll up into that start date.
You will. So the very first thing that we would do would be the review of the revenue and financing policy, which we do anyway in conjunction with LTP.
Yeah.
But we would do a very comprehensive funding needs analysis with that review, which would sort of segue into a rating reviews.
Right. I'm just wondering how much work this is for you guys running up to it, as opposed to the LTP.
We would be reviewing revenue and financing policy anyway.
So it fits with it.
That does fit with that.
Right.
And these are staff recommendations and resolutions. Yeah. So that should answer your question.
Well, it does, but there's a lot of public guidance and community consultation will come after the 2026. Is that what you're saying?
So for the actual rating review would be, that would take place after you've adopted the LTP.
After you adopt it.
The next year, the first year of the LTP.
First year. of the
That's when we
LTP.
would do the actual rating review, so that we've got it ready for when we go, 1st of July 26.
And that would be a new
Because
council.
when those rates would become effective.
So you do the consultation in this period of try, and for the next council.
Sorry, it's.
That's how you're saying? I just want to get this right.
It's new council.
New council, but will they do the
Yeah,
consultation?
so we'd start the rating review in 24, 25,
Yeah.
and then with a plan to implement it on the 1st of July 26.
So when's the consultation start? Take
Will
place?
be in that year, 24, 25.
425. Okay,
Which is when we do the LTP.
Councillor
That's
Blue,
not
what
this
do you think?
financial year, but next financial year is when we will do the consultation.
Ah,
Hmm.
okay.
So we're doing all the stuff up to the LTP to start on the 24th. Okay,
All we're doing in the LTP is reviewing the revenue and financing policy.
I'm just talking about the LTP. We're preparing that to start on 2024.
Yes,
And then the 2024-25 year, we're going to do consultation on the rating review.
that's correct.
Right.
We're okay on that timeline now? Gary, you've got a question?
Yeah, I'm just looking through, because when I look at the disadvantages you've set out, and just having heard the extra work we're going to be having to do if we look at doing Maori representation, I think we're just going to be stretched beyond belief. Just the more I think about it, it's can we leave it to the next new council? Sorry.
Thank you. Any other questions?
There probably would be a lot of work actually on staff, Len, and maybe we need to get some consultants in to assist with that work.
Thank you, Councillor. Okay, so personally, I think we're at a stage where we need to take this off so that staff have got some direction as to the next steps. This is going to be a long process, and unless there's further discussion.
So can I just confirm on the resolutions 2, 3 and 4 on page 322? Obviously, we're just picking one of those.
Down further, it says the options.
Yeah. So option 1 further down is about resolution 2, and option 2 further down is about resolution 3, and option 3 further down is resolution 4. That's right, eh?
You lost.
They all flow on one from the other.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, they do. They're all, we pass all 4 of them.
Yeah, so through the chair, you would pass, these resolutions are the staff recommendations, and if you were to go with this, you would pass all these resolutions. If you were to do something else, we would have to change the resolutions.
Okay.
So it's not an either or situation
No,
with the resolution.
it's almost like a.
Time frame.
Yeah, I apologise.
So if I be happy to move? No, I'm happy.
So
is it? So my point here is, I just want to raise again, is about consultation. Consultation to LTP is quite a comprehensive consultation. Consultation on Maori, if it moves on, will be comprehensive. Consultation on rates review will be comprehensive. So you've got 3 big grunty consultation periods that are going to cost a lot of money. Is that a workload, or is that a workload?
yes, that's part of the discussion as a council.
I'm struggling.
In some ways, we're going to be forced into looking at this topic by 3. Is that a commentary? So we're back into a corner regardless. So if we don't take this opportunity to look at our revenue and financing, which is what Donna's already indicated is going to happen. If we don't take this opportunity, then are we in danger of going up 2026, so going down a road with a model that is not fit for purpose, is not working, and asking for continued issues because we've got issues now.
I think the rating review, the financial review is important. You've got to do that. But whether it's engaging into the rates review discussion, we have to have.
Donna, and then, sorry, did you just want to respond to that and then come to the other?
I was just going to say, through the LTP process, where you can make some changes to our rating mechanisms, you know, to line, when we do a rating review, that'll be looking at making sort of fundamental changes, like, for example, you'd be looking at how we currently land value based. You would look at going capital value. You know, that's the fundamental change that you would look at a rating review. You can make some changes, you know, without having a wholesale rating review, which is what we, as a start, when we go away and do the funding needs analysis, that will come through in the review and financing policy. Any suggested recommended changes for that through that mechanism.
So you would go through that process, come back to council with some recommendations based on that work.
Yeah, makes sense.
Delhi, sorry.
I think we have to trust staff that they're making a recommendation and they've done their homework and they know what they can deal with. And then when we come down the track and we're looking at Māori representation review or whatever, then we can have indications from the CE and her staff what is able to be done. So I think let's get on and vote on the resolutions personally.
Okay, so we have a mover and a seconder. I'm going to put the motion based on the staff recommendations. Those in favour?
Aye.
Those against?
Just abstain at the moment.
You want to put it down?
Did we get a vote from Gary?
Gary, how did Gary vote?
I just kept quiet because I'm still racing in my mind. Actually, it's a pretty full day. I think we've got a lot to deal with, and it's probably too much we're dealing with, to be honest.
Okay, so what's your vote, councillor Rowley?
Well, I haven't voted yes, but I suppose I'd abstain. Yeah, I'd abstain. I really don't think I can make a decision on it.
So you want to record it as abstain?
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Okay, thank you. Stay with that. Okay, thank you, councillors. We'll go to item 5.1.
Thank you. So just before Hayden dives into the financials, I just wanted to draw your attention to the letter on page 348. And I put it in here as a means of just recognising the huge amount of work the staff have done, which has been appreciated by MD, who asked the list of right letter, obviously, in delivering the business funding. And so we've had something that's about, gosh, we've had about 8.5 million all up, and we've got the bulk of that out the door. It has taken longer than anyone would have liked, but that's because we've had to have checks and balances in the back room and had to go through a number of checks to make sure that the applications were good ones. Personally, I think we have delivered as well as we could, given all the pressures we had. The alternative to us delivering it was another agency at a regional level, something like that. So although it's taken a fair bit of staff resource and it's impacted our BAU, I do believe it was the right thing to do, because it's meant decisions have been made as close to the community as we can.
Yeah.
And it's probably in a better way than would have happened had it been done at a regional level. So really just want to say thank you to the staff that have worked really long hours, well into the night, for many, many nights, to actually get that money out the door. The other item I just wanted to touch on was the 3 rivers, and I'm conscious that there's some quite big announcements on the 3 rivers, and as council we've not had a chance to actually talk to you about them and have a discussion on it. It may be we don't want to have that discussion today, given how late in the day. Bruce was poised to give you a bit of an overview of it, and I'm in your hands.
We'd love to hear it.
I'd like to hear it.
Absolutely.
Okay, so shall we just get Hayden to step through the financials and then put Bruce in the hot seat?
Yeah.
Can I just ask a quick question about the business recovery grants? Is now an okay time for that? On page 327, it says staff have reassessed all applications for consideration. So that means people have already received a grant as well as people who missed out.
Yes, they've reconsidered all of them.
Okay,
Because that's
that next tranche.
that second tranche was the top. And so we were constrained by the state, but also we were constrained in the first round. We were able to go out for more applications, but was intended as a top up to the applications that either hadn't been funded or hadn't been fully funded.
So this next tranche, if I may, through the chair, will that be, do we know whether that will be open to new applications or?
No, so the last tranche was only a top up.
Yeah.
We were not able to go back in.
Uh,
And the other condition was it has to be out of the building by mid-May, I think it was. So this is confirming the ED staff and finance staff
yeah,
and the background. Funds.
So point of clarification, is saying if an application was made and it was refused, it would not be considered again. But if an application was made and only partly paid out, that would be looked at.
No.
They can all be relooked at.
Or we,
We do have that, people what we don't have the ability to look at any new. And be real.
Can I, just on that matter, so I've been approached by a couple of businesses who are in that situation, suddenly didn't apply first time and came back, have gone back to them and said, these are the constraints that we're put under by the government, but what was communicated to me by the economic development team was they haven't given up, still trying to advocate with central government for new applications. And the two businesses that I spoke to were satisfied with that they were clear that our council's hands were tied, or our hands were tied by central government requirements, but that we hadn't given up, that we will continue to look for ways that businesses could and people could benefit from funding. And it was well received. It was happily, it was
I think
it was received.
the approaches I've had have been, like from a cafe and another cafe got $4,000, but that cafe didn't get anything. It's that sort of approach
Yeah.
that people are saying, why to be in the same situation.
Okay. Yours,
So in terms of the results, we're tracking all right against the October forecast. Probably the three areas of sort of concern the last 3 months of the year are going to be our storm damage costs that come through from PIGS. So we've got a fair bit of storm damage that we're going to need to deal with. Final sort of inflationary sort of adjustments that come through in contracts. And another one that I'm probably on the sort of on the eastern seaboard side is just some of the revenue around our harbour activities now. I think we'll just see a bit of a slowdown in terms of the numbers and that revenue, the potential for it to slow down. So yeah, that'd be the three sort of issues. If we go through the high level fees and charges, again, that we've seen a bit of a softening in revenue there, a bit of a softening in the bag revenue. We weren't, that I think will continue till the end of the year. Development contributions, we've seen a couple of large developments in Matarangi come through. So that's a bit of subsidies and grant revenue that's positive off the back of storm damage, but obviously that has a low. Yeah, so basically they have probably three big worries is how to deal with this the storm damage that's come through, and yeah, at this point in time, it's still sort of some of it's been done and some of it's scheduled to be done, literally done this financial year, or next financial year is still sort of. I guess it comes down to whether and contractor availability.
quick question here, other expenses, is that?
Also, that'll be our storm damage like that. the roading costs.
64 million.
Yeah, it's water bill.
It's everything combined.
Yeah, everything.
Is that capital works program there as well?
No, no, capital works is.
Separate to that? That's true, okay. Just more storm damage.
Yes, so storm damage will have a big effect on that. Because if we hadn't just got the road and storm damage, we've got waters, some water, parks, yeah, it's quite a bit there.
Any other questions, Peter?
So it's just a question, page 346 around the capital expenditure and the capital projects. With year to date sitting at 26.2 million. Year to date annual plan 47.1 million. So where are we going to end up on the 30th of June? How much are we going to get done? And secondly, what confidence can we take or not take out of that in a year where we want to deliver a whole lot of stuff related to the storm that we'll actually be able to do it?
Easy one.
But through the chair, question, we've obviously had a number of challenges this year around delivery of the CapEx program. As I think you probably mentioned earlier in the meeting, the next couple of days, the next deliberations for the annual plan. That's where we can really get into discussion about next year's program and around how we actually, what we're proposing for that and how we're proposing that and why we think that will next year, because we know we have all these extra things coming through that we are going to have to deliver. So I think Chair Exec might have used the term clear debt, which I think is appropriate. Probably get into a lot more detail around next year's program.
Okay, sounds good. Where are we going to end up this year?
I haven't got the figure off the top of my head, sorry, that's, I think it's should have known off the top of my head, so I apologise for that. There might be 42, yeah, sounds about right. So we've just done the March revisions, as I mentioned earlier. And obviously there's lots of things kind of moving around and changing. So yeah, so whether we get exactly to 42 or not, that remains to be seen. There's a number of big things in there which there'll be some delays. So yeah, hard to know exactly. But yeah,
What was your target? 47?
something like that, I think. Yeah.
Sorry, 59 was with the other stuff, wasn't it?
Yeah, so we had a number of big things kind of come in during the year, and then obviously as part of the March revisions that we've just done in April, or we'll continue to done. They go and relook at that, say whether they can be any considered in the last 3 months. So obviously things come down as a result of that.
So we are going to be obviously discussing in a lot more depth in the next couple of days. And I know the team is still working on preparing information for us. Are we happy to park any further detailed questions until the next couple of days so that we can get into this in a little more depth? Are there any other questions or Aileen on the rest of the chief secretary report? Three waters. Thank you.
Yes, we Chair. So just a quick few updates on the key things coming out of the latest the review that we announced a month or two ago. So obviously we've got from 4 entities to 10 entities across the country. Timeframes, so it was supposed to all go live day 1, day 0 was supposed to be 1st of July next year. They pushed that out by 2 years. However, they have said that if a group of councils in one entity can get themselves all together, they can actually start from 1st of July 2025. And there's actually nothing to stop councils all getting together anytime now, but I think they have to have 75% agreement across all the elected members of those councils that they want to start early. So again, my view is that's highly unlikely to happen because to get that kind of consensus is going to be very hard. So it's kind of pushed another couple of years into the program. The representative group, that's changed. And so they basically said in our each entity, however many councils there are, there's that many seats. And so probably going to be the mayor of each council will sit on that representative group, which a lot of people are happy about. That's changed things from when we had 22 council areas in one entity and a very small number of representatives. The better offer funding, so the second tranche of that, which was, we were going to get about 12, just over 12 million, that's evaporated. So that money's gone. They're not talking about that money. They've said they had to repurpose that money into
Thank you, Tim.
doing more entities. So that's important to know. The other way that it affects us really is that the way the legislation stands at the moment, we're actually not supposed to put any three waters into our asset management plans or our long-term plan or infrastructure strategy, because on 1 July, when our next year, when our LCP kicks off, the original water entity should have been standing up. And so now they've said there's another 2 years. So how do we deal with that? So factors that basically on direction I've given my group is look at all the information you've sent through around the capital programs, what needs to be done. We're going to have to grab that and then put a couple of years back into our program, which is quite disruptive for staff and also for elected having 2 years of programs in the first, so 2 years in and then 8 years out, for the LTP. And for the infrastructure strategy, 30-year strategy. So put the first 2 years of costs into the infrastructure strategy, and then the next 28, we don't have anything for waters because theoretically will be gone. But anyway, that's I suppose how it affects us. We are waiting. DIA said they're going to come back and give some more advice on that. But I think from the reality of our timeframes, which are very tight for the LTP, we can't wait for that advice. We just need to start moving and take a bit of a punt and go, look, let's put these figures back in. If they have to come out, they have to come out, but we don't want to be waiting and then run out of time. So, but the other thing they've got to do to actually make these changes happen is they've got to get legislation through the House. So they're flat out do that kind of stuff, and government are flat out going to get another bill to go through the House to make all these changes and reverse a lot of the things that the last legislation basically set up and enabled. So that's the kind of quick 2-minute kind of summary of the latest changes. Obviously quite disruptive. We'll be concentrating quite strongly on just trying to maintain some calm across the staff that work in these spaces, not just waters, it's other areas as well, which is can be challenging at times with that lack of clarity. But we're just we've got to keep on delivering. We've got to keep doing what we do. So.
Other stuff, okay?
Yeah, the stuff's pretty good actually. I think everyone understands. There's other additional uncertainty coming in. It's not ideal, and then you've also got a general election coming later this year, so that's another level of uncertainty about what's the kind of whole thing could take. But overall, they're not too bad, and we've been trying to work hard on communicating what's useful and important without kind of like flooding people with information, because the information coming via Aileen's email and my email, and there's just so much information that's been coming over the last couple of years from DIA and all those different areas of government. So it's been about trying to manage that information flow, help staff kind of process it and work through it. So overall, they're pretty good.
We've lost some of our staff to the Three Waters. They went off early, and the Rotorua and things like that. Andy Thrasher, I'm thinking about.
Oh, yeah.
He got a job at Three Waters. What, are we still staff an issue in us in terms of staff wanting to move on, not moving on?
Yeah, so through the chair, that's something we just went to another council, so it wasn't it?
With a promise of Three Waters. As we go back.
Not really, it was the event of like a contract council, so it wasn't specifically just to like Three Waters.
That's what he said to me.
Okay.
Sorry, can I just move that? Yeah.
They commented to me, he was waiting on a 2-year training stint to come back to us.
Can I move that, pick up on Terry's question, move that sideways a little bit? Have you had any steer from DIA or entity or whether it is likely to be integrated staffing within our council to work on? So whether the Three Waters entity employees are likely to be based here, or have you had any kind of say?
Also through the chair, that what they've said is they want for the first period, they weren't explicit, but we kind of guessed 12 to 24 months. Everyone will stay working where they are. So Three Waters staff will stay here. So Three Waters staff that work out of teams will be able to keep working out of teams. Now, I anticipate that over time, to get those economies of scale, that might change. But at this stage, people are still working here. And obviously, if you're operating a water treatment plant, you've got to operate it here, you can't operate it. So there's a bit of a mix there. They are interested, the entities previously were interested in like housing, as in working housing, so not houses, but could they be an office space they could use, or is there somewhere local they could or lease for office space. So obviously those things have kind of got a little bit more grey and not such a priority now with this extra couple of years built into it. So, but they are definitely looking at keeping everyone in the areas.
Thank you, Bruce. Any other questions on Three Waters? I think there's going to be a lot more discussion around this. Do we have some steer on entity leadership at the moment?
Through the chair, Vaughan Payne was appointed one of the 4 chief executives, so he was the chief executive for entity B. And then not very long after that, the review came out and said we're not going to have one entity B, we're going to have 3. So Bini, Waikato and Taranaki. So there's still a kind of a bit of a question mark that might shake down for those 4 roles that they appointed. They were establishment chief executives, so the idea was that they would establish and stand up the entities. And so I imagine they're not kind of, once they're stood up, there'll be a period of transition before they have a chief exec appointed. So a couple of different options there. Could be that, Vaughan, for example, stands up the 3 entities, or they might change this. So we don't know, and I think they're just waiting to hear.
So just feedback from the other mayors in the region. As Bruce commented, it's unlikely that any of the other councils in the region will want to go, will be ready to go early. So July 2026, I think the date is likely to be the hard reality. A lot of work to go before that. So.
May I ask a question just of the CE's report? Just with regards to the number of Lagoima requests, does that feel very high? Or is that normal for us?
I'm sure that's normal. I'm only 9 months in, so yes, that feels very high. And it's super long work.
Yes.
Behind the scenes to claim things.
Yeah, absolutely.
They can be work from 1 to 20 hours of stuff to do.
Need to ask a question for that. Is that a concern for you and for staff in terms of
Is it a concern? So, transparency, local government, government's all about transparency, isn't it? People are entitled to information. And there's probably the requests that have you can see the benefit of why are they asking all that information is probably the frustrating one. So there's levels of frustration, but on the other hand, it's democracy.
And another the repeat sort of requests from repeat people. So you keep an eye on whether they're big savings or not, wouldn't you?
Yeah. So we have employed a escalated complaints officer, something like that. That's what we're calling a customer advocacy officer. And we're putting together some policies around when does somebody reach that threshold of being unreasonable.
Correct.
So we need the policy back in before we can actually unleash it. That's the process we're in at the moment.
Then it's hard to believe that some rate payers might be like that, but you've got to strike that one.
Yeah, and it is, I guess the other frustrating part is that you can charge for them, but the ombudsman is actually suggesting council shouldn't because transparency is important. Yeah. So, but when they reach the threshold, we really do need to think about charging people as to narrow their request. Because if you don't, it is the rate payer that's picking up the tab. And certainly some of those national organisations that send a Lagoima to every council in the country, and the best one I think, or the funniest one was how much does it cost you to pay for your on-hold music on your phone system?
Yeah.
And 67 councils around the country have to write a letter to reply to that one. And you just think, really,
it's nice to hear you're actually addressing the big station side.
If I may, just a follow-up question. Does there seem to be a current theme around these border? It just has happened like that.
The Lagoimas.
Back to Lagoimas. Is there a theme?
There's actually a number of different themes and a number of repeat attempts. And Len and I have seen it ourselves, and we're sort of being spammed by, this is the word my son would use, by people asking multiple places in an organisation for an answer. And then they don't like it, it tends to reappear as an appointment. So, there is a lot of that sort of stuff goes on, and that feels really inefficient. from our end of things.
Thank you.
Very consuming element, but as Aileen said, it's part of transparency, it's part of process, but it doesn't explain on every level.
Dictatorship.
Mm-hmm.
Possibly not. Okay, thank you. Aileen, any further questions? Thank you, David. Thank you, Bruce. Really appreciate it. I'm going to put the motion that we move in a second repeat to see Chief Executive Report, Peter and Rebecca. All those in favour?
Aye.
Thank you.
I move us into public school.
Seconded.
Those in favour?
Aye.
Item 7.1.
Oh, okay. So, just for